Welcome back. This is Marc Rudov, branding advisor to CEOs and author of 3 books on branding for CEOs and 1 book on lying. We just wrapped up the presidential election, and Kamala Harris is the biggest liar I've ever seen. She actually outdoes Joe Biden. Her whole campaign was built on lies. And as you know, Joe Biden was my inspiration in writing Duped Again. You can get all of my books at markrudov.com/books. And I hope you will. Today's topic, the consequences of weak fathers. When I was a teenager, I was out with my buddies one night, and we ran into a group of girls. And I got paired up with a hottie, and we went off somewhere. I don't remember what my friends did. But she proceeded to give me hickeys, sucker bites, all over my neck. I thought I was such a hero. Came down to breakfast the next morning, and my father took one look at my neck. He said, "You look like a jackass." Well, I was pretty humiliated. Guess how many times I repeated that? 0. Because I had an ass-kicking father. As I explained, last year, October 27th, 20 days after Hamas brutally attacked Israel. And I was describing my opinion of the protesters all over America who were trashing Israel and had no idea why they were trashing Israel. And I said on Newsmax that what's lacking in today's society is the ass-kicking father.
Why do students feel the way they do, and how did they learn to act this way or to say the things that they do? What's it based on? Our next guest says it's all because they have been radicalized on those college campuses. Branding advisor to CEOs and author of Intra Branding, the keystone of corporate agility, Marc Rudov, joins us along with media strategist and host of the What's Buggin' Me podcast, our very own Dennis Neal. All right, Marc, lay it out there for us.
Well, that's right. They have learned it at the schools. It starts in high school, where they're taught that people fall into 2 groups, the oppressors and the oppressed. 51% of Gen Z said that the Hamas attacks on Israel were justified. This is the same bunch of morons who think that men can have babies. They learn this in school from their radical teachers and professors. And the other thing that bothers me is that their parents keep sending tuition checks to the poison Ivy League schools. And they're radicalized at school, and the parents don't say anything. One thing that's missing from all of this is the ass-kicking father. One of the reasons that I never got into trouble was because I was afraid that my father would kick my ass. This guy is extinct. And Leon Cooperman said these kids have SHIT for brains, and he's right. They don't know history. They don't know anything. So how does this manifest? The lack of an ass-kicking father. Well, you can see it everywhere you go. I explained back in December on the 17th in 2020, after the election, which somehow put Joe Biden into office. And Donald Trump was suing all the states that appeared to have rigged the elections. And he was having a difficult time dealing with the Supreme Court, which didn't want to take any of the lawsuits. John Roberts specifically didn't want to. Now, I explained on Newsmax that Republican men who marry liberal women
who are actually beta males, because these women will run their lives. These are the rhinos. When you see Republican men in the Senate and the Congress, and even in the Oval Office, who act like and speak like Democrats, I guarantee you they have liberal wives.
So
You know, it's
and
interesting.
I just want to clarify with you, Mark, here. Again, you're saying that Justice Roberts, who some say are sort of a secret liberal, although he was appointed by a Republican, that it's the influence of his wife that could be playing into how his decisions are made?
I am saying that. And if you remember last week or last time when I was on the show the day after Thanksgiving, I indicated that lots of Republicans are caving to Democrats. And I said that the reason for that is most of them are married to liberal wives who have liberal friends, and there's a lot of social pressure to dump Trump. And I think this pressure is real.
It's a job for life, though, right? He doesn't have to worry about applying for his next job.
He doesn't have to worry, but he has to worry about living in his house. And he has to worry about whether to have wine and cheese parties with friends who no longer want to associate with them. So it's completely ridiculous. And you know, it's interesting. Alan Dershowitz appears on Newsmax all the time, and he laments the cancel culture at Harvard. Because if you associate with Trump, you can't teach there, you can't speak there, you can't attend. And he says it's a good thing that he's now independent and not part of a large law firm, because otherwise he'd probably get fired for having supported Trump during the impeachment hearings in the Senate.
Well,
and the only person he has to answer to now is his wife.
Okay,
now,
very
have you
interesting.
ever heard
Mark,
a woman on TV saying that the only person she has to answer to is her husband? No, you haven't, and you never will.
So what are the actual consequences other than rhino men, and we see them all around, beta males? All the men who voted for Kamala Harris are beta males. No real man, and I made a video about this, no real man voted for Kamala Harris. She chose a beta male as her VP, a guy who's a total lunatic, and his wife is even worse. And her husband is a beta male. Again, I made a video about this. But let's look at, other than the protesters, here, well, first of all, I'm going to show you a clip here. The first clip is these lunatics. This happens to be in Rome, Italy, where you have these climate activists. You've seen this before. They're blocking traffic, except that men got out of their cars and did something about it. Followed up by two women. One is so angry that Kamala Harris lost and Trump won that she's now dry. She's a desert. She's not going to have sex with men anymore. And we've seen a lot of this on the internet. And then, of course, there's the head shaving. You'll see this term 4B. I didn't even know what it meant. I had to look it up. Well, B is actually a Korean letter, which stands for the Korean word for no. So 4B, 4 no's. No dating, no marriage, no sex, no children. So when you see 4B, that's these lunatic girls, these lunatic young women, maybe not even so young, who are completely shunning men and saying that we'll show you, when in fact, they're giving us a gift. They're not going to procreate. They're doing something positive for humanity.
Vabbè, potevi comprare di pigliare, a me me lo dà ancora, mi hanno rovinato tutto il terreno. content reaches a lot of men because I have an IQ of 130, but I want the men in this country to know that half the female population, we're dry. We're probably gonna stay dry. I'm dry as a desert, baby, and I don't want it to change. Yeah, we're not gonna like you anymore. You understand that? Like, it doesn't matter if you take away abortion. Like, we'll want to have your babies even less, right? Even if you take away contraception, like, women are really good at celibacy because you guys are actually a threat to us. So we have a lot less to gain from you. So yeah, 4B all the way. Let's make some money, I guess. That's all we can do.
And a virgin, nursed and a servant, just an appendage, lift to attendance, so that he never lifts a finger. 24/7 baby machine, so he can live out his picket fence dreams. It's not an act of love if you make her, you make me too much labor, all day, every day, therapist, mother maid, if then a virgin, nursed and a servant, just an appendage, lift to attendance, so that he never lifts a finger. 24/7 baby machine, so he can live out his picket fence dreams. It's not an act of love if you make her, you make me too much labor. Babies in my eyes, a gross thing. If our love died, would that be the worst thing? Somebody I thought was my savior, sure make me do.
These are the consequences of weak fathers. Wacko children. If you're a CEO branding to these people, to these whack jobs, you have quite a job on your hand, quite a task, because they're not normal human beings. They're mentally ill. Liberalism is a mental disorder, and we're seeing it. So those are the consequences of weak fathers. Weak fathers, wacko kids. This is Marc Rudov at markrudov.com. Until next time.